Tonight, we will tell you about the concern of several families in Isiolo who cannot tell the whereabouts of their relatives. Some have been missing for a few days and some for months now. Concern is now growing with many of the residents there afraid of just who will be next. But the big question is, who is taking the relatives and why? This is KTN Prime. Also tonight on KTN Prime, we'll be speaking to a North Rift reporter, Mercy Kende. You remember that internal memo that came out yesterday about Garissa University College. She has some new developments from there. She will be letting us know what is going on the ground and the concerns being raised by some of the non-teaching staff from there. This is KTN Prime. We thank you for joining us. These are our top stories.
Here is to hope this judgment will bring to an end the era of arbitrary remuneration awards to the teachers.
Teachers of this country have been granted the rights and they have been saved by the courts from servitude and slavery of whatever form.
At long last, teachers celebrate ruling forcing government to increase pay. Mysterious disappearances in the north, residents blame security agencies. Now Kenya Airports Authority Board accuses managers of smuggling in the controversial buses.
With the current rate of killing, we may lose elephants in West and Central Africa in the next decade.
And the beauty will defend the beasts, Lupita's new passion for endangered species. Many thanks for joining us. Our sign language interpreter tonight is William Silla. Tonight, teachers can breathe a sigh of relief. The industrial court earlier in the day awarded teachers a 50 to 60% pay increase. The award will be backdated to July 2013. As KTN's Rita Tinina reports, teachers welcomed the decision, even as Education Cabinet Secretary Jacob Kaimenyi announced they would challenge that particular ruling.
Walimu wa Kenya wanaomba milango ya pesa.
An all too familiar tune for the Kenyan teacher. For years, teachers and the government have engaged in a long drawn-out war over salaries and allowances, a war that dates back to 18 years ago when the 1997 teachers' pay deal was signed. The Kenya National Union of Teachers, which organized a month-long strike in July 2013, had initially sought a 300% pay increase, but later reviewed the demand to a 150% pay increase. With the government not giving in to the teachers' demands, the courts were perhaps the last and best bet for teachers, and the industrial court did not disappoint.
A basic salary to the teachers of between 50 to 60% for 4 years meets the wage review criteria set out herein before in this judgment, and the court awards the teachers accordingly.
The award has been backdated to the 1st of July 2013 and will expire on the 30th of June 2017. It translates to an annual increment of 12.5% to 15%.
Good labor relations translating into national peace and harmony is a trophy worth investing in today.
The teachers may not have gotten the 150% they bargained for, but they say it is a step in the right direction.
Na katiba imetetea mwalimu kupitia koti uamuzi wake ambao ni wa maana kabisa. Tunataka kuwauliza walimu wetu kule waliko waanze kusherekea.
I want to believe that the ruling of today sets precedents on good labor practice.
This ruling and this judgment is very progressive, and we think it will set a very positive precedence even in our engagement.
But even as the teachers welcome the court's decision, it is not mission accomplished just yet.
Bado mapambano kwa sababu matarajio ya walimu hayajatimizwa, lakini tunakaribisha kile tumepewa ndio tuendelee.
Education Cabinet Secretary Professor Jacob Kaimenyi says the government will go to the Court of Appeal to challenge the ruling, and if it must, then awarding teachers the pay hike will depend on the availability of funds. Rita Tinina, KTN.
Here is to hope this judge.
You're watching KTN Prime, and we are focusing on that story by Rita Tinina. That is where we derive our big question tonight. We're asking, do you support the government's plan to challenge the teachers' pay increment? Let us know what you think. Teachers have been agitating for better pay for years now. The last time they actually got any increment was in 1997. All through, they have been raising their concerns about their remuneration and some of the benefits they would like to get. Let's see how this goes. Let us know what you think. You can tweet us at KTN Kenya, at Lindo Goto. I'll be sampling some of your views during this bulletin. Let's now focus on Garissa University College. And there was an internal memo that was released yesterday. That internal memo has raised quite a concern among the non-teaching staff of Garissa University College. Mercy Kandiye joins us from Eldoret. Mercy, you spoke to some of this staff. What did they have to say?
Yes, Linda, remember the story that we aired yesterday said that by 1st of July, that is tomorrow, that all administrative staff must report to Garissa University College. The deadline of traveling should be today. However, as we speak to you now, of the over 60 administrative staff who are expected to be in Garissa University College have not yet traveled. The ones we talked to on the ground, that is at the Garissa University College, they're telling us that they're not feeling safe. Remember today, Linda, that the end of the financial year is happening. What they're doing on the ground currently is taking stock of that financial year, and they're telling us that their university colleges are somewhat deserted. They are not even sleeping within Garissa County. They have to travel to Tana River County to seek for accommodation. Regardless of that, today we were at the Moi University main campus where representatives from the Ministry of Interior Security had visited to address the students, and we talked to a few of the staff of Garissa University College. They are still maintaining that they are not going back to Garissa University College. Linda, also our viewers should note that just in May that the students, then about 595 students, were moved to the Moi University main campus in Eldoret, and they got new identification cards. What Moi University was offering what Moi University was offering at the university, as a university, was academic programs. What the university says is just that. And the Senate there sat to ratify that the academic programs then had been shifted to Moi University main campus. And what happened after that is that the students were given new identification cards, were moved there. They're starting their exams on the 6th of July. And that's just it. But the concern here, Linda, is that the teaching and the non-teaching staff, their fate is not yet known. And by yesterday, when we aired that story of a memo released by Professor Ahmed Warfa, who's the principal of Garissa University College, had directed all of them to go back there, saying that that's where they belong as the administrative staff and not Moi University. Linda.
Mercy, no doubt some of the students who were moved to Moi University in Eldoret went through a traumatic experience, especially after some of their colleagues died in that attack that saw 148 lives lost. Mercy, earlier in the day, you indicated that you managed to speak to some of the students who were transferred there. What do they have to say about this internal memo and probably the prospects of reopening the college?
Yes, that's the thing, Linda. The students that we were talking to, remember, they have been going through the university, Moi University main campus, has been having programs on counseling, talking to the who've been talking to the students. And the ones that we've talked to told us that they are adjusting slowly but surely, new friends, they are liking their new environment, and they're saying that they wouldn't want to go back to Garissa University College. One thing to also note is that some of the members of Garissa University College, these are the teaching staff, they're saying that their worry is that even when the attack was happening, some of them were being targeted, and they're not quite sure if that has been addressed in terms of security. Linda.
Mercy, thank you. Let's see how that plays out in the coming days. Now, the public sector trade unions of Kenya have vowed to go on with the planned strike if the government does not withdraw the Gazette notice on new NHIF rates. This comes after a 2-day consultative meeting between the unions and the government hit a snag. The Labour Acting Cabinet Secretary Rachel Omamo says the parties need more time for dialogue. Take a look.
it is a position of the government that suspending that Gazette notice would not be correct and would be detrimental to the interests of the ordinary Kenyans who are already benefiting from the scheme. They should remain open for dialogue. I am quite happy to continue to encourage this dialogue, and it is my hope that these discussions will continue going forward.
Government has up to midnight today. Even 1 minute for them is okay. But after midnight, they should not look for us. We will proceed with the general strike action. And this is the first time that the Labor Center is going to engage in a general strike action against one of the biggest injustices, because this constitutes theft and robbery with violence. This is robbery with violence by the government. And we'll use every opportunity that is available to us to defend our earnings.
Si kwa sababu sisi tumekataa kuelewana, si kwa sababu sisi tunakataa mazungumzo, si kwa sababu sisi hatutaki dialogue. La hasha. Tumekuwa tukizungumza na hawa kuanzia mwaka jana. Mwezi Novemba, mwezi Disemba, Januari. Tukiwa tunazungumza nao, tukiwaambia huo mpango ambao mko nao hatufai wale wafanyikazi ambao wanatoa senti zao.
Let's focus on security now. Some families in Isiolo County are demanding answers following the disappearance of their kin. According to the residents, a number of young men in the region have been kidnapped and efforts to trace them have proved futile. They took to the streets today to express their frustrations.
It has been 7 days since Mohammed Abdullahi disappeared. 7 days of what his wife describes as torture since she last set eyes on him. And she tells us that on the day she last saw him, he was in the hands of unknown men who forcefully took him.
Alishuka hivyo akisema hivyo kufunga boot na bonnet. Akiwa anafunga bonnet walimvuruta mkondo wakafunga pingu wakamuingiza kwa gari.
The incident took place on this road that links Isiolo and Meru counties. However, the security officers say they are unaware of the incident.
Pande ya sisi kwetu Meru hatukupata hiyo report. Ni tayari kwamba kama incident imefanyika katika area fulani, tuko na police station.
Lakini sasa hiyo si kesi ya Isiolo, kwa sababu ukiripoti hata crime, hata polisi wanakuanga na crime figures, wana crime chart. Wakiripoti, hawata report incident ya Meru in Isiolo.
Area Member of Parliament Joseph Samal says he has information on the disappearance of his constituents, blaming the government for what he terms as turning the other way.
Director aliweza kunijibu ya kuwa hana squad kama hiyo, lakini katika watu wenyewe, katika structures ya KWS tunajua ya kuwa kuna watu ambao wametolewa njia yao ni kufanya extrajudicial killing, na hiyo ni kitu ambacho nafikiri italeta tatanishi kati ya watu na KWS ama watu wote ambao wanalinda wanyama.
However, KWS officials in the county have denied any wrongdoing by officers from the force.
This is something we've been also reading from the press. We have heard those allegations from politicians. We hear there are people who have been lost, I don't know from which year. You go to the police station, you don't find those reports. So I don't know their authenticity.
We don't have a trace of Al-Shabaab in Isiolo so far. But when we see members of the public disappearing and the government denying, then who else? It gives a lot of doubts also. Who else is doing this?
Residents held demonstrations against the incidents, demanding that the men who have been taken be reunited with their families. The families have now taken the matter to court and have asked the government to look into the cases of abduction in the area. Betty Kialo, KTN.
The Big Q, in association with Fidelity Insurance.
So the industrial court today awarded teachers a 50 to 60% pay increase. On our big question tonight, we're asking you, do you support the government's plan to challenge the teachers' pay increase? Education Cabinet Secretary Jacob Kamenyi says he intends to appeal that particular ruling. Let us know what you think. Tweet us at KTN Kenya, at Linda Gut. I'd love to sample some of your thoughts during this bulletin. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. The National Police Service has begun a process of digitizing systems at all police stations that will see police stations connected to the National Police Command Center. This is expected to enable officers from any police station to address issues within their areas of jurisdiction. The Inspector General of Police, Joseph Boynet, says the process of opening up regional command centers is rolling out well and will be operational within months. Already, the first phase of the system for Nairobi and Mombasa is now under the National Police Service after formal handover. At least 1,800 high-powered CCTV cameras have been rolled out in this stage, along with an integrated command, control and communication center. There is also an emergency response contact center that is equipped to receive up to 25,000 calls per day. Some 7,600 modern communication devices have been handed over to the police, while over 3,000 officers have been trained to build deeper capacity for the next generation of security enforcement in Kenya. Other than the Nairobi Central Business District, the CCTV cameras have been fitted along major highways like the Thika Superhighway at strategic positions. Elsewhere, in a fresh twist, the Kenya Airports Authority Board has disowned an agreement where it was to lease 5 buses to ferry passengers within the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. KAA Director Kevin Kihara Kariuki has told the National Assembly's Transport Committee that duty was not even paid for the buses in what was described as underhand deals. Take a look.
The Kenya Airports Authority continued to punch holes into the KAA management's controversial procurement of 5 passenger transfer services buses, the apron bus services.
Can the management on its own motion wake up without the approval of the board and go into this venture?
KAA Board Chairman David Kimayo was at pains to explain how the board was unaware of the management's acquisition of the apron buses.
Was the KAA to purchase the apron buses and concession a third party to operate and maintain them.
Kimayo told the National Assembly's Transport Committee that the KAA management under the sacked Lucy Mbugua as managing director outrightly disobeyed a directive to purchase the buses.
It became apparent that these buses were not for KAA. Then we were shocked and we were surprised. Whose buses are we operating on?
The board accused the top management, whose services have since been terminated, of colluding with Relief and Mission Logistics to evade paying duty for the apron buses.
I would like to astound the members this morning to tell you that the apron buses delivered to KAA were actually smuggled into the country. No duty was paid on these particular buses.
Under the deal, KAA was to pay Relief and Mission Logistics 11 million Kenya shillings per month for services rendered with the 5 buses. The KAA board director, however, assured Kenyans that no money was lost.
When they heard about the presidential directive, they decided to mutilate and tear the RTGS. Fortunately, we were able to recover this, and I would like to table the mutilated RTGS instructions for $74,400 to Relief and Mission.
The board explained that KAA has pending invoices worth 49 million shillings to Relief and Mission Logistics. Only last week, the board sent home MD Lucy Mbugua, as well as Finance General Manager John Thumbi and acting airport engineer Christopher Rutere. The management was accused of being involved in underhand dealings to defraud Kenyans.
The only person who is insured on those buses is a banker, who is Kenya Commercial Bank. But we are the end users. So in case of anything happens, KAA will still pay for the injuries of the passengers or whatever happens.
According to the KAA board, the World Bank gave Kenya money to purchase passenger transfer services buses following the fire at JKIA in August 2013. Ben Kitili, KTN.
Oscar winner Lupita Nyong'o has announced that she is now a global elephant ambassador. She made the revelation as she spoke in Nairobi today about her homecoming and her passion for wildlife conservation. Michelle Ngele has that story.
Kenya's Hollywood girl and Academy Award-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o has revealed part of her agenda for coming home in her first official visit since winning an Oscar Academy Award in 2014. The graceful star came into the country on Friday the 26th, and she did not come empty-handed. At a press conference on wildlife conservation efforts in the country, Lupita announced that she will advocate globally for elephants with international conservation organization WildAid. The organization's mission is to end illegal wildlife trade by reducing the demand for wildlife products in consumer markets.
The African elephant is an icon. It's an icon globally. Children around the world love elephants. I think the elephant symbolizes wild places and nature like no other animal. And if we can't save the elephant, we have to ask ourselves, what on this planet will we be able to save?
I learned an elephant kept alive strengthens our economy and can be worth $1 million of tourism revenue in its lifetime. Whereas when it is poached, it only provides a handful of people with a few thousand shillings. I learned currently an elephant is being poached every 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes, another $1 million is lost. That's $96 million a day. I learned that with the current rate of killing, we may lose elephants in West and Central Africa in the next decade. And ours in East Africa may follow if we do not turn things around.
Since her arrival, Lupita has spent her time at Amboseli National Park with the Amboseli Trust for Elephants and meeting with local conservationists to film messages for international distribution. The actress joins a host of international icons, including Jackie Chan, David Beckham, and Richard Branson, among others, all of whom are global elephant ambassadors with WildAid organization. In recent months, Kenya has joined other nations, including the US and China, in destroying confiscated ivory, sending a message that global ivory trade must be stopped. Across Africa, 33,000 elephants are killed annually for their ivory. Although Kenya put a ban to ivory trade 25 years ago, the country is still struggling to put an end to illegal poaching. Meanwhile, international organizations like WildAid are focusing on reducing demand for wildlife products in consumer markets, with the hope that when the buying stops, the killing can too. Michelle Ngele, KTN.
A survey conducted by Infotrack indicates that most government ministries are still not accessible to the Kenyan public. The survey, commissioned by the International Commission of Jurists, indicates that although access to information is a constitutional right, little effort is being made to allow free flow of information. Timothy Otieno with that report.
Are government ministries in the country accessible to you as a Kenyan? That question was the basis upon which a survey was conducted by Infotrack between the months of March and April this year. According to the findings, the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources ranked highest on the overall access to public information by Kenyans. This followed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Agriculture. Perhaps due to the sensitive nature of information it handles, the Ministry of Defense ranked lowest when it comes to easy access to information by the public.
And really what we're looking at is the ministry itself and whether the ministry is present, and not so much the individuals in their personal capacities managing those ministries.
The report was conducted on the pillars of responsiveness and availability of structures that allow for attainment of information by the public based on either telephone calls, physical visits, or via the web. The level of information disclosure on the web ranked highly for the Ministry of Transport. On the flip side, the Ministry of East African Affairs and Tourism is the worst when it comes to online display of information. An interesting finding considering the ministry received 5.2 billion shillings during this year's budget to boost tourism. Yet, the ministry's online website lacks vital information that can assist online users know more about Kenya. Infotrack Director Angela Mbido, however, says information in some ministries may have not been forthcoming since some services have been devolved to the counties.
Then there was email, and we sent out the 7 different scenarios to all the ministries, both in Nairobi, the ones in Nyeri, and the ones in Mombasa. Guess how many responses we got back via email in the digital era? 0. Not one response to email did we get.
The survey polled over 1,400 respondents within Nairobi, Nyeri and Mombasa and included general questions common in all 18 ministries on matters of job applications, publications and tendering processes. According to Article 35 of the Kenyan Constitution, every citizen has a right to access information held by the state and by extension state organs. Now, whether this information is provided first of all in a timely manner, secondly in the most appropriate format, and thirdly whether this information is credible remains to be the discretion of the different agencies. Timothy Otieno, KTN, Nairobi.
You're watching KTN Prime. We are taking a short break, and when we get back, Joy Doreen Mbira will have the day's business news. I'm just taking a peek at some of the news that she has. Not very good for you. June inflation has accelerated further, nearly hitting 7.03%. She'll have details of that. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to KTN Business. I'm Joy Doreen Mbira. June inflation has accelerated further, hitting 7.03% compared to May's 6.87%. According to the Kenyan National Bureau of Statistics, the rise is linked to the depreciating shilling, with most indices easing during the month. Data shows the food and non-alcoholic drinks index dropped by 0.1% in June as food prices continued a month-to-month decline, easing the high cost of living experienced in May. And the housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels index was up 0.37% due to cost increases, while the transport index increased by 0.86%, mainly due to notable rises in the cost of petrol and diesel, both of which climbed by close to 5%. The shilling has been under increased pressure, closing the day at 98 shillings and 70 cents against the dollar. The central bank's monetary policy committee is scheduled to meet on the 7th of July with new governor Dr. Patrick Njoroge expected to tackle rising inflation and currency pressure. And you might be forced to dig deeper into your pocket to afford to buy second-hand clothes. This follows a move by the Kenya Bureau of Standards to introduce new requirements for imported second-hand clothes and shoes. Importers will be forced to ensure goods are inspected and certified in their country of origin before being allowed into the country. And as Abby Agina reports, import quotas may also make it difficult to access second-hand goods.
Second-hand clothes, also popularly referred to as mitumba, are a favorite for majority of Kenyans. The clothes retail at far cheaper prices and are perceived to be of higher quality than what's available locally. For starters, importers will have to ensure all consignments of second or used goods are inspected and certified in the country of origin and issued with a certificate of conformity. Failure to obtain the conformity certificate could lead to the rejection or destruction of goods once they land in the country. KEBS also expects importers of second-hand clothes and shoes to ensure goods are fumigated and inspected by a public health authority at the country of origin. The new measures will be taking effect from the 20th of July 2015. The move is expected to spark a major uproar among Mitumba dealers who are at risk of being edged out, as the new measures could impact on the importation costs, which if passed on to consumers could affect sales volumes. In 2014, there was an attempt to raise the import duty for second-hand clothes, but was thwarted by traders. Kenya currently boasts of a vibrant Mitumba sector, which employs thousands of Kenyans. Abiagina, KTN Business.
Merger talks between Old Mutual and UAP Insurance inched closer on Tuesday, with Peter Mwangi named as the group CEO of the new unit. The merger follows Old Mutual's successful acquisition of a 60.66% stake in UAP earlier this year, as the two businesses now work on integrating their operations. Mwangi has been working as Old Mutual Kenya's CEO since 2014, prior to which he served as the Nairobi Securities Exchange CEO. According to sources privy to the merger, the two companies were carrying out an internal review on operational structures, with an announcement set to be on Thursday, and the UAP Old Mutual Group is also carrying out a brand review on whether a name change would be necessary. UAP Old Mutual Group is now one of the largest financial service providers in Kenya, with a growing footprint in Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and South Sudan. The National Treasury's plan to raise the core capital for banks to 5 billion shillings by 2018 is expected to be a game changer in the banking sector. Treasury's argument is that this will lead to well-capitalized banks capable of taking part in capital-intensive projects the government is undertaking. This has, however, raised questions of whether there is still space for smaller banks and what their role in the economy is. KTN's Michael Karanja caught up with National Bank CEO Munir Ahmed to get his thoughts about the move, even as Treasury planned to merge the bank with two others.
I argue it both ways. Yeah. You require big banks for the simple reason that then you'll have domestic financing capabilities to fund those big infrastructure projects. So if it's $100 million, $200 million projects, yeah, that requires a very large number of banks to collaborate currently. Hence why even the last sovereign debt, or rather the commercial debt that we had, 600 million, was all done by foreign banks, not yeah, local. So you require for the roads, the railways, the ports, the airports, the energy infrastructure projects, big banks. And that's part of our banks coming of age. So that there's a need for it. But that doesn't obviate the need for also small niche players. So there's nothing wrong with smaller banks. You've asked the question of, are there too many banks? Yes. If there are 44 banks for a market of our size, which is vastly smaller than, for instance, South Africa. Yeah. And South Africa's got primarily 5 big commercial banks and another probably 10 mid to small tier banks. But we have 44 banks of varying sizes, and 10 or 15 of those still command 85% of the market share. It's highly fragmented. So you lose the benefits of scale. Scale, yeah, has got a lot of benefits in any industry.
Munir Ahmed of National Bank of Kenya speaking to KTN's Michael Karanja there. Now, moving on, Centum Investments has listed its 6 billion shilling bond on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. The 5-year bond received applications worth 8.31 billion shillings, an oversubscription of 38%. The bond is made up of a fixed rate component offering a yield of 13.5% per year, an equity-linked portion with a yield of 12.5% per annum that will be based on the growth of the company's net asset value. Proceeds from the bond will be used to finance Centum's ambitious strategic plan that focuses on the education, health, energy, financial services, first-moving consumer goods, ICT and real estate sectors. This is the second bond issue by the firm after previously raising 4.2 billion shillings in 2012.
was encouraging. We had a number of transaction advisors who put in a lot of effort.
So the bond proceeds will be used to fund our investment pipeline, largely in power. We have 2 large power projects that we are currently developing. In the second area is in financial services. As you know, we recently acquired Kere Bank, which will shortly be rebranding and which will be injecting additional capital. And the third area is our investments in real estate.
And that's it for KTN Business. We'll now take a look at how the money market is performing. For more business, do log on to our website, standardmedia.co.ke. I'm Joy Doreen Bira. Up next is Lynn Washira with all the sporting action. Good night.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to tonight's edition of KTN Sports. My name is Lynn Washira. The Kenyan team to the World Youth Championships is a few steps from declaring its readiness for the Global Championship set for 15th to 19th of July in Colombia. The team of 26 will be going all out to better the last edition's tally of 4 gold medals. The Colombian capital, Cali, will welcome thousands of athletes from over 180 countries for the 2015 edition of the World Youth Athletics Championships that will be held at the Olímpico Pascual Guerrero Stadium from 15th to 19th of July. Kenya will be represented by a team of 26 athletes. The youngsters have been training for the last 1 week ahead of the Global Championships, and the coach says the team is almost there.
Team is good. We have been trying to recover the worn-out muscles. Now at this juncture, we realize that they are not so bad now.
Despite their tender age, most of the athletes in the Kenyan team took part in the Africa Youth Championships in Mauritius early this year.
Mauritius was an African event, and most of the teams never went there. Here we are talking about World Championship, where we have over 200 teams, and everybody has been preparing well, like the way we are preparing.
With Nairobi set to host the 2017 World Youth Athletics Championships, the team representing Kenya at this year's championships in Colombia is all aware that much is at stake.
Knowing very well that Kenya will host the 2017 here, so you have a lot of pressure trying to show that the world that you can beat them in wherever they are. But we're coming here also, we want to demonstrate to them that we shall beat them more because we shall enter a large number like the others.
The target remains clear: to better the performance displayed by the 2013 team. The team is set to leave the country on the 10th of July. All the best to that Kenyan youth team. But moving on, troubled AFC Leopards club has elected Walter Onyino to steer the side until the end of the year. The club has been dogged by boardroom issues, with 2 warring factions laying claim to the club's management. However, elections held on Tuesday seemed to have shelved that power struggle, at least for the time being. Onyino's first task will be coming up with short-term financial measures for the cash-strapped side. Onyino will be making a comeback to the den after he lost to former chairman Alan Kasavuli in the club's last elections. Jasprit, the current Kenyan National Rally Championships leader, will lead a pack of 54 drivers during this weekend's KCB Eldoret Rally. In addition to favorites who include Baldev Chaga, Ian Duncan and Manvir Bayan, former Britain and Finland rally champion Tapio Lokanen will also be in action.
The fifth leg of the KCB Kenya National Rally Championship is expected to offer a tough opposition as a star-studded of 54 drivers with the aid of their navigators tackle what is expected to be a smooth and flat-out course in the event that is scheduled for Saturday, July 4th in Eldoret. After 3 years of absence, the Eldoret Rally returns in the 8th leg of the 2015 Kenya National Rally Championships calendar, and the Western Kenya Motor Club organizers of the showpiece expect a positive rally day.
We're lucky that we have a porous Murram road, which is on the main 2 stages, so we're not scared of the rains.
I guess top contenders will all be in Eldoret to ensure that they get or garner the required points as they try to defend their titles and unseat others from the various thrones that they are sitting on today.
The action in Eldoret is expected to spice the rally enthusiasts many on a Saturday, as spectators get to watch a top-notch rally day at the spectator stage in Kaptagat. But of key importance will be safety to all.
If you're coming out to spectate, we love to see you out there. We want to see you cheering, but please be responsible, don't drink and drive, and give all the rally cars the right of way. Eldoret Rally has attracted rally bigwigs including Kenya National Rally Championship current leader Jaspit Chate, Carflash Tundo with his Proton S2000, Alesta Canava, experienced Ian Duncan among others. Also expected to spice up the occasion are youngsters Manvir Baryana and Rajbir Rai, both entering their R5 Spec Ford Fiestas. As expected, the Eldoret Rally has a full complement of the Kenya National Rally Championship support categories, and the flag off is scheduled at the KCB West Branch on Saturday, 4th at 7 a.m. Moses Wahesi, KTN Sports.
Mama has Mortein Doom, which makes mosquitoes go away and not come back the whole night. So you get a peaceful night's sleep all night long.
Mortein Doom. A peaceful night is a Mortein Doom night.
The Big Q, in association with Fidelity Insurance.
Thank you for staying with KTN Prime. Let's focus on our big question before we call it a day. We're asking if you support the government's plan to challenge the teachers' pay increase. Education Cabinet Secretary Jacob Kaimenyi has made it clear that he intends to appeal that ruling that gave teachers between 50 to 60% pay increase. The poll results are right there on your screen. Let me see if I can sample some of your views. Atonya Stanley says, these ping-pong games between the government and NAT/Kuppet should come to an end already. Otherwise, the 844 system will keep churning out zombies. Yuda Olango says, the government has no option but to facelift public education, starting by paying teachers well. Evans Kimosop says, Kaimenyi, it's our tax that will pay, not yours. Teachers deserve the increase. Why not appeal MP's increase? Fintal Ndia says, MPs and government officials increase their salaries, no one complains. Time to pay Mwalimu. Finally, George Jesse says, no, they deserve it. Imagine changing the different perception children have as they grow, they shape the future. Those are your opinions on our big question tonight on whether or not you support the government's plan to challenge that pay increase that has been awarded to teachers today.
Our DNA matches our new attitude to make positive change to your lives with everything we do. Welcome to Fidelity Insurance. Insurance you can trust.
That's why we leave it tonight. Thank you for watching KTN Prime. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Linda Ogutu. Have a good night.